Okay.
but I've not done YouTube.
Well, the
I'm
only,
not
this
cool
is,
with
okay,
video.
well, this is what you do if you want to share a video with somebody on YouTube. It's real simple. Because that's basically what
So
we're
far,
doing.
everything's basic. There's no password to remember.
No, everything's plugged in.
Yeah.
Really, you just have to remember the more, once you're in the Zoom meeting
Okay,
and share, okay?
okay,
So we're sharing this, we're sharing our YouTube video to our
Website.
open media, yeah, website. Which is open media. So
Oh,
you just
okay.
copy it, right?
yeah,
That makes sense. This is, will always be up and ready. And then just go to edit. And then down to video URL. And you think, oh, what, that? No, just ignore all that.
just put paste.
Yeah.
That's what I would have assumed.
Okay, cool. I figured I would just say what I might
then
think
save,
and then
okay.
save and then,
Okay, so
So-
now it's copied, it's in the
okay,
URL.
so now, and then the last thing you have to do, which you go to indexing. And then you have to say show live on site.
Okay,
So the only thing you're gonna have to remember to do at the end, after you press
means-
end for Zoom in Zoom. Just remember to come back here and just turn that back to black, so it won't be live on the site anymore.
okay, good.
And then they're right next to each other, so.
Yep, I can figure it out.
And then the only thing that's weird is that you have to come back down here for the Zoom. That might, could be confusing to somebody.
No,
Okay.
I got it. I know. Let's see.
And other than that, we should be, I sent an email to that Ethan guy. I don't know. I hope he doesn't take a real long time. Getting back to us with that other,
Mary said to let you also to move this over here.
yeah, let me just finish real quick with the, he said he wanted to give us another quote, like, in comparison thing for the app. So hopefully he's not gonna like. Otherwise, why is it $500?
So,
No.
and that owl seems to be working really well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to see. That's easy.
Yeah. And uniform. Answer to a question, but,
What happened is a bunch of people
oh, I know,
paying
I know.
and, you know, you can tell
They. They're the box, I mean. So it's a smart thing. Ah.
there was a long. I don't know, they had a whole list of people, it was a big. Big list.
You do it, and I just. I can't deal with it. It's pretty hard. It had some kind of attacks already, so. I can't do a couple of those. It's ridiculous. It actually went from Florida to. Lisbon. Strauss Park was beautiful. Saw that one on the back is on there, it's not looking through. I was like, oh, but that's going to Strauss Park. Let's go. So what's our limit about?
I'll just talk about the scope for phase 3,
Oh,
the next phase. Bring the DRC up to date.
and so, Jen actually called me a while back about this amendment from Mark. Because he didn't know about it, but they were changing that back. On the back side of this house, they were gonna change it from being at outside access. Balcony or something,
Yeah,
and so I only saw that and we approved
they put,
it. So now they're changing the door.
yeah, and they're putting railing on the thing in the front, and they've got a couple of those. Light tubes with the bubble thing on top, they're in the back, they're on the show.
She asked me to recharge me for this, and then be quite excited for this one. And I said, this one, I don't think it's good, they don't be.
You know what we asked them to do, which, you know, yeah.
So I said I would do this. But you don't check it. Yeah.
Hello, I'm checking in. It's Tom. Can anybody hear me there?
No, Tom, we can't hear you at all.
Dang it.
I'm listening to you tonight, Tom.
What do you do? So, you're doing this remote tonight?
Pardon? Were you talking to me?
I was actually talking to Susan Burris.
Hey, I can kind of hear you. Hold on.
I can hear you fine.
I wanted to let you guys know that I probably won't stick around for the meeting, but I just wanted to make sure I could get on here and see everything.
Okay.
Just enunciate pretty please.
Just say, you know, we're thinking of it.
And I'll take care of it tomorrow probably.
Okay. 4 minutes here. Well, it's not. Change tomorrow's to.
I noticed people going on money on the forecast.
Yeah, I'm like, last time I keep saying it's like 1 to 3 inches, but
That's the,
It doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
No, I think it was, well, yeah, a little bit, you know, it is, so it will stay around long.
yeah, 1 to 3. 91% chance though.
91.
We're getting something.
Well, go ahead and start. So is anyone going to call the meeting to order? Could you please call the roll?
Susan, are you there?
So she may just be, for all she can hear us.
Susan, you're on mute if you.
Students remote, so we want this clearly and. Not each other.
Was she on earlier?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
on there, she's just not. And did she say she's gonna be on, or she's gonna listen, she's gonna be in minutes? Oh, okay, well, she can take the roll. And. Okay, it's called meeting to order. And Tony in here, Mark Reynolds, Sean Flood, here, Bob Hamilton,
Here.
Cindy Ridley, here, Greg Ganser,
Here.
Betsy Blakeslee, here, okay, and we get approval of the agenda, please. Well, I think we have to. Not.
We need to add the.
Sarah Park.
This, yeah, Star Park,
Yeah.
phase 3.
And, you should discuss that forward. Okay, anything else? Now, we have a motion, with the changes, do you know it? Do I have a second? All in favor? Sean and Bob. All right, let's see, we're not here for office business. Okay. Our business. We'll come on up, we're sit on the relatives.
Okay.
Yeah. You want this chair?
Yeah, come stay for a while.
Okay, just kind of give us your name for the rest of the project. And then we'll-
Sure, Mark Geisman, Portland Mill LLC. My address is 917 Second Street, Georgetown. And the project is at 1002 Main Street. We've seen this before. Twice, I think. And we have just some very modest changes that are in your packet. On the north side of the building, the pad had a door out of a room in the northeast corner. We're taking that off and not having a door or a window at that location. You will see the interior space is being used in a different manner, and a door or a window as it's seen appropriate.
We're on the north elevation,
It would be on, yeah, it would be on the north elevation.
and it is, is it that door?
It's, no, what you have, I think what we have in front of you reflects the removal of the door. If there's one door shown on your north elevation, that's a door coming out of the backside of the garage. There had been a second door more to the west of that garage door that was in a, I'll call it in the tab, family room.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's noted.
So, and there's now a window where that family room door was.
No, there is, could I show you on?
I can't quite hear the panel, but the long story short is the door on the north elevation has been removed from what was previously approved. On right where the little red note there pointing straight up, there used to be a door that went out there and that was removed.
Yeah, between the bay and the window that's still there.
Correct.
Correct, yes, and that's Tom Peterson on this new architect. So we've removed that door because it's no longer needed functionally. And it also allows for the interior space to meet the needs of the placement. And I remind you that this north elevation is the one that has a lot of dense vegetation. And we intend to only remove as much of that as necessary so it doesn't stretch the house. So this is not going to be seen by anybody.
It's right.
Correct. As long as we. Let's keep moving. Then on the west elevation. There was a window recessed into that same room. I'm trying to find it on mine, but it'd be on the west elevation. There had been a window. And we are making that not a window, it's a wall, because that is now part of a bathroom and mirrors are going to go in that bathroom. And you'd have to look hard in the street to see that there was not a window there.
Is that all goes back?
It is recessed back in and in that is vegetation area. The other item,
Well, this is essentially the front of the house.
the front of the elevation, the west elevation would be if you're standing on Main Street, looking into the house, but recessed back into the house. And beyond that bay area. The other item is that on the front porch, I'm very happy about this change. We want to put a railing, baluster, and Tom has detailed that. I have on this. I hope you have. I think you have. Okay.
He's got it on the back of the street.
The detail is on page, it looks like this. And so that I think make the house seem a little more cohesive with that railing on the porch. And we have removed the fence around the edge of the property instead of, and replace it with this to create more of an open feeling into the front yard.
What kind of composite is that? What kind of composite? It said wood composite.
Tom, can you help us out on the wood composite comment?
I didn't hear the comment, but basically it's probably similar to what we've done on the previous projects there, where it's basically a wood composite material that is shaped to a nice square, in this case, a square pickets, and then it's just a painted finish.
It's got that vinyl.
No.
Red.
No, we.
No,
Okay.
So that'll be painted.
Actually, no, obviously.
this. The other, late addition is, adding two solar tubes that are,
That's the one we just received.
yes, you just received that. And those are, I think, a big one, when you know, we've seen where those are. They're on the east elevations, or they face the east. They are toward, they're above the back side of the garage. So there's a grass roof. And my page is slightly different than yours, but I'm looking at the east elevation.
Yeah.
And there's a solar tube sort of in the middle, and the roof slopes toward the east. And that's not a visible part of the house. And there's another one just on the northeast side. One focuses into I'll call it a living area against street, and the other into an interior stairway. And they are not visible from the street.
How do they project over the roof?
They're not far, but I'm going, Tom, the solar tubes, I did not bring the spec with me tonight. How far do they protrude above the shingles?
They are above the shingles, probably about 12 to 14 inches.
And the diameter?
Diameter of 14 inches.
Diameter of 14 and protrude upwards 14?
Yeah, 14 is probably closer to 14 to the 18 range, probably actually from the surface to the top of the dome.
So that is just this part, it doesn't actually stick up like a chimney and then have it's the dome starts.
So what's shown on those elevations, probably the best view of that is the north elevation, which shows the side view of the kind of the worst, the one that's going to look taller. But again, neither one of these will be visible from Main Street or 10th Street, unless you drove all the way down 10th Street and peeked around the corner. That model, that view on the north, and the one that the north elevation, I should say, sheet A 3.4, and on the left side of that one gable where the arrows are pointing to those solar tubes, that's a pretty accurate representation of how tall it will be and size.
I noticed that it's pushed way back from the street. I mean, it's way back.
Yeah, and if you look on the that's a good point, Marv. And yeah, on the east elevation kind of shows you the distance back from this, from the garage doors and back from the street, how far that is. So east elevation shows the same.
And it will have no reflective metal with all
I can't hear that.
Is there any reflecting metal, and if so, can that be painted?
No, the base metal piece is it's a dark brown.
Yeah, okay.
I think it would be,
Clear dome.
it would be the actual glass on the dome. And that's only going to be maybe 6 inches above the flashing. You'll widen the shingles. Yeah.
Curve on this, right? 10 inches of the dome sticks up. I have one of them.
Yeah.
Anything else, Marvin? I think that's it. Tom, have I covered everything that I think we have here tonight?
I think so. Let's see, no fence in the front yard, the railing around the porch, the one window removed from the west elevation, and the door removed from the north elevation, and the sun tubes. That's it. Yep.
Decided, or can we just go ahead?
Can I make a note real quick? Susan's no longer on here, and so when you take notes, please make sure they're clear, because she's no one taking notes.
Okay. Well, I think she was gonna listen to this and she'd ask us to
Okay.
be sure to speak up.
Great,
But I'll try to make as much clear on here.
thank you.
Okay. Need a motion.
Do we need silence?
Oh,
All the sides, it's no bother.
Do we need to, second,
The non-reflective metals only thing.
that's all stipulated on the original.
Exactly.
So
Site of the scale.
I think. All right, so do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the changes discussed and represented on the March 20th and April 14th, or excuse me, April 12th revision to the drawing, to the drawings.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
We have another one. We have another one on the agenda. We have one more. We have one more, and I think there's a discussion about a couple things. And then they'll call, I'll let them know that you have something.
I didn't know if they had to be here before. Yeah.
We'll make it. a session.
Oh, yes. Okay, for charge point, these funds. This one for charge point. We can hear you guys.
Ginger, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Yeah, it's saying that it's connecting to audio, but it's not, you're not muted, but we can't hear you.
I think the point of this though is that we have asked them to extend that fence. And I believe the problem is that the transformer does not belong to them. And Excel is not of the road like fence.
Are you working on it still?
I'm trying to get her on, but it's saying on her end that it's trying to connect to audio, but it's just spinning.
So if we get this in the transformer, how about water, we can't do it.
Yeah, they showed the fence for that.
The fence goes in front of the power block. And
Across the switch.
trying to switch here. And we have suggested that it go. And that's not their piece of equipment.
Who does it belong to?
Actually,
Here,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Bear with me.
Okay, so if you please state your name and the project that you're here for, and then I'll answer it. Ginger?
Ginger, can you hear us?
Not very well. I'm gonna try and turn up the audio
Okay,
volume.
can you state your name and what else?
Just the project.
Oh, and just give a brief description of your project.
Sure. My name is Ginger Bodwin. I'm calling from ChargePoint, and I'm calling in to discuss the electric vehicle chargers that are already installed and the upgrades that we were proposing to do to give you the latest faster charging electric vehicle stations that we have. I know I had come before you previously, and there were some requests for the renderings of what the stations would look like, and then a request to put a screening fence in front of the switchgear and what we call our power block, so the power cabinet for the chargers. So we submitted supplemental documentation showing you what I sent you actually a photo of the chargers installed in another location with the renderings or the skins that we put on them. So you can see exactly what that will look like. And then the fencing to screen the power block and the switchgear that you had sent me, we're willing to comply with installing a fence that looks exactly like the document or the photo that we sent to you. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
About the extension. So Ginger, on the picture that we have now of the fence, where the coverage of the lot here, it ends in front of the power block, but it does not go in front of the power link.
The power link are the charging stations themselves.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so on mine it is. Oh, so there was something. Yeah. So okay, on the other end, excuse me, you see what he's showing you?
Can you see the dotted and the unhighlighted yellow area?
Yes, I think that what the highlighted area is the transformer. And that's not ChargePoint's equipment, and the utility will not allow us for safety reasons to put any kind of screening fence in front of that.
I did reach out to Excel to try to get a comment and got zero response.
Yeah, I mean, they have actually put fences in front of their equipment for us, right?
Gas, that whole gas installation.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not the gas pump. I can't think of any place around town where there's a screen in front of it.
Okay.
It's probably a code. Running access to it.
So.
I mean, we can live with that. Yeah. We can live with that.
So.
How tall is the fence?
And I apologize, I'm having a really hard time understanding you. So if you're asking me questions.
How tall is the fence?
How tall is the fence? The fence will be tall enough to screen the top of the switchgear and the power block, so it'll be 8 feet.
Wow.
The equipment is that long.
Limited to 6. You want to be able to see the equipment is probably 80 inches or so.
Equipment is taller than me, it's like 7 feet.
Yeah.
Because I went to the one by, she sent us an example of like targeted, and it is like 7 feet, so I believe it was like.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you think it's probably if it's 6 feet long.
You could, well, I mean, it certainly is. Who's gonna like that out of the 6 feet?
Yeah.
And I mean, they had trouble with the fence down at the gas station.
there's what it looks like, that's like 7 feet tall. That's the example she said. About.
I think if it's screened 6 feet, good enough.
Okay, can you hear that?
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
Sorry, we're kind of discussing and our microphones just aren't picking up everyone very well. But a 6-foot fence, actually, we feel would be much better as far as the wind here. We realize it wouldn't quite cover the equipment, but it's better than having your fence blowing down. So.
Okay.
Do a 6-foot, and thank you for doing it, but a 6-foot fence, I think, would be better.
It'd be less
Okay.
than-
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah, we're happy to do a 6 foot instead of an 8 foot.
okay.
And one of the suggestions has been, instead of using wood posts, go ahead and use steel posts. Steel pipe posts, round ones. You connect your fence to.
Could you hear that?
No, I'm sorry.
He said, could you use steel posts instead of the wood posts?
Yeah, I'm sure we could do that.
It's just the wind is brutal here and that's a little
Yeah.
stronger.
No, I'm aware that,
They can be round, they don't have to be square. Whatever works.
okay. Yeah, I'm sure that'll provide a little more support.
Okay. Anything else?
I think all is our way down. And that makes. No wine.
So the reading. Oh, yeah, the lighting on the actual, chargers.
So this version of our charger is very different from the previous one. If you look at the photo of the actual stations that I sent in, there's just a very little strip on the top
Those have been vandalized, that's basically what they do.
Okay.
on either side.
It did not seem like that for the day.
So it's actually on the face
I
of
don't-
the charger. It's on the face of the charger, just up under the, where it says.
It's right up. So if you're looking at the very top, on the top right, on the top left, on the very corner, it'll look like a green strip. Let me see if I can find a photo that I can share with you.
Is this it right here? Is that it?
Yeah.
That's the correct picture?
Well, I went to the truck and she says.
Okay, okay.
That's fine.
Gotcha. That's good. I'm glad you did that.
I don't want to go there at business.
Hmm.
I had a good working on all that.
That's what I answered.
Were you able to see the photos, or you need me to find one for you?
Yeah, we have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Okay,
them.
perfect, great.
Okay.
I move that we approve the changes to the charge fund, vehicle charging station. As presented in the required, the approval package. With the stipulation that the fence, 6 feet, and that they use steel poles embedded in concrete to support the fence.
And the fence itself is wood.
I think probably.
It's a composite.
There's actually some.
Okay, do I hear something?
I'll second.
All in favor? Sorry, place on. Can you hear us?
Great, it was approved.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. We got Strauss Park, phase 3.
I will, recuse myself from should be a voter in the beginning. Over the past month, I've met with Parks and Rec. Couple of times, and with the business promotion divisions. And then, earlier this week with the, board of selectmen. How to get everybody on the same page, for the next phase of South Park, which is the high state in the, plaza area and the, parking lot. I wanted to bring DRC up to speed on this. The handout that was on your table with the light blue top on it, that's as of today, that's with, I use up to date today. And the drawing that accompanies the one page, which is 2-3, it's in white technicolor. This is pretty much where we're at in terms of what we're planning to go ahead with. So I think I'd like to just kind of go over it. Looking at the drawing. The yellow obviously is the new structure that we put in. We agreed to keep the corner bench at the corner of 6th and Rose Street. The rock bench that's on that corner, that's going to stay. The stone bollards that are at the corner down by the K&A building, and then the two that are kind of on the Rose Street entrance to the park, those are going to go away. The monument down on Rose Street, between Rose Street and the new shelter. Parks and Rec would like to see that go away. This is promotions, and Board of Selectmen wanted to stay. Kevin did some research on it, and it indeed is historical. It has some historical significance to it. My recommendation would be to just leave it the way it is and refurbish it. And there's the letter from Kevin on that.
What would be the point of the move?
That's what was in the original plan. I mean, that was what downtown, our urban plan. Denver decided to do, so. And made it through that.
And the other thing, Brent, is if you're coming in from the parking lot and you want to get around to the booths, you know, yeah, it sort of sits there, right in the way, and so I can understand it's always.
Lots of access, but
It's not. Kevin's research was really, really good.
I think this story needs to get posted in the park to know what that is all about.
And we are going to do parking for, there's going to be, that, the passageway wall. We're going to have the panels about the history of the project, about the sermons themselves. And it includes something that, yeah, this will become part of that story, because this is a 1935, recognition of Ferdinand's and Mom's.
Yeah.
Beautiful job.
No, it's not.
Well, that's how it was. They have the corners, yes, they should be.
Like,
Schools and the whole place and stuff. We're well past that. The tree, the sentimental tree, or the tree, possible tree staying. And we agreed to I'm not sure about this. This is promoted. They're finding that the public was. Say, well, money, so the compass rose in the fire pit goes away. So we don't have the 4 points to compass, it would just be Firestone there, so it's. Yeah, we should agree with that. I think all that is pretty much documented in Basically two sections. One is, decisions that were made, changes from the DHM design documents, and then those are numbered 1 through 9. You can read those at your leisure. The next section, numbered A through G. These are changes that are occurring as a result of the new shelter that we put in, and they kind of fall. The biggest thing is we do have some exposed concrete, and the intent is to face that with natural stone that is, similar to the rock bench and the water bench in the park. When we do the construction packages, we will recognize the various dates that I got from the other two commissions for as construction restraints and windows to kind of guide that guidance to the contractor. And then on the last page, construction details to be decided. Kind of really wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm going to be proposing, and I want other people, the other commissions like the idea of putting a permanent concession area in, and I show that on the drawing right at the two roofs of the L. Similar to what we used to have, where we have a hard front across there with a, access, obviously, and access to it. With a, basically you can set it up with a counter, and it would look like a regular concession stand. We can then, and my question on that is if there are no strong objections to that, we'll kind of go down that road. The wood for that we have. What's enough left over is not a problem. I would like to consider or get your opinion on if we're doing flagstone throughout the plaza area, the red flagstone. It might make more sense to pave that with concrete, if that's going to be a permanent concession area. Inside that area, I think it'd be a little bit cheaper, and certainly be a lot easier to maintain in terms of washing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's high, you can see it from the park.
Yeah, because that area has a front, right?
Yeah, we would have a front.
They just behind the front,
Yeah, yeah, so you wouldn't see it.
So it's,
It would be easier to close it down.
yeah.
Okay, I think I'm probably gonna change the specs to basically do that.
So,
The other. Go ahead.
so the baseboard, there'll be a baseboard inside there. Well,
It's concrete. The foundation wall is exposed up, I don't know, foot and a half.
so
And I would leave that concrete and get painted if you want. You're not gonna see. I can't see you putting the money to put stone on that, so that would be. So it would all be concrete, so I mean, everything would be hosed, and maybe just watch out for, multiple. Okay. I'd like to add a planter, by the KNA building. If you look on the 6th Street side of the KNA building where the trash can, you can leave the trash can there and build it into the planter. Kind of raise and put a stone wall with a little cap on it. Hopefully we can use that gas meter, so we don't need to make a new gas tap to feed the gas fire pit.
And are the lights going in the park, the gas lights?
Somewhere, we need to look at what we want to do with it. There are 3 of them.
There are 3 of them.
There are 3 of them. No, there are 3 of them. That hasn't been figured out in terms of what to do with them. There are electric lights that go in the park. There's,
Well, they're in the booths all over.
well, yeah, the booths are all lit, but there are pole type light fixtures. One down near the sidewalk, it goes up to the restroom. Another one near the, it's right here.
And what are they going to?
They're the ones that were in the DHM design, they're basically sort of similar to these, they're the
Do you have a picture?
yes, the ones that we approved in Europe.
Oh, okay, right, well, we did look at it.
These,
Yeah.
Them had-
These, yeah, those.
have you opened the
No, I got a quote on. It came in this afternoon, like $20,000 for materials. For six, six of them. There's a total of six,
where are the six?
there's on Fifth Street, one in the front of the parking lot, one in each end of the parking lot, one down by the restroom. One at this, you know, this end of the parking lot.
They're right, it's nothing,
Oh, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
You know,
There's four in the parking lot and two in the. They're on the electrical. And then there's a sconce, same head, over at the corner where you enter the park,
which is the real national.
which used to be that.
Are these AA or BB?
The pole, the only difference I think is the pole.
Um,
They're all the same heads.
What height are they?
I don't know. Yeah.
There's two in the park and, yeah, like I said, four in the park.
And then there's a sconce that's at the corner off the building.
Yeah, the DD.
That's the present plan.
Is the DD a new fixture as well? Yeah, DD is a new fixture.
I thought we talked about the old gas lights going down the left-hand side there in front of the stalls, like not on every photo, of course, but spaced out.
I mean, you could do that. I don't know what the point would be. I mean, there's expensive. Yeah, no, it would be expensive. I don't see that they did much.
It'll just be decorative, so,
Yeah, you can figure out where.
okay.
What I was gonna suggest is if you put an entrance column. At, one down on the entrance to Road Street, from 6th Street, kind of near where those old pillar things were.
Yeah.
Rock those. But build it up and put a lamp post on it, you could turn those into gas stations. You have one there, and you have a couple at the entrance on the Road Street. You can do something like that. So there could be actual gas stations.
Not that none of these.
I don't think you need them, but I don't, it would be possible, it would be expensive. Because I'm sure in today's world, they would have to be rebuilt and certified to UL.
I don't feel we keep going, instead of just because we have them.
But we keep them.
They're up the street.
Yeah, because we raise it time to time.
Well, we could take the video off. And put the one that's missing downstairs here. There's two on this building. We can put three more. One for each of their spot. Yeah, I guess the only other features
Yeah, my house might be a little.
is, yeah, that's possible. Do we want to go with, it calls, the plans, the DHM design calls for steel edging, basically with the flagstone and the grass or planting areas meet, kind of on. And do we want to do that, or do we want to do with the concrete curve, concrete edge there? And where that's coming from is in somewhere I remember that there was concern with people, tripping and falling on steel edging and cutting themselves, and, basically is considered a hazard.
I think for maintenance services, concrete works a lot better than steel.
That's my thought, is that we could do a concrete, we have a concrete curb. Okay, which is basically actually all on the side, all on the wall is in the parking lot.
Yeah.
To kind of close that off. And I'm thinking, if we do concrete edging, every place where we need edging, or we don't have a wall of some sort. We can go along with concrete.
Can we have talk about concrete for a minute? Because I don't know that there's a picture, illustrates the difference that concrete can make. Because this is the concrete that was a repair downtown, but this is the concrete that's now 40 years old. That was poured initially, and it's got the, this is more of it. It's got the color and it has the, the white aggregate in it. And I don't know how we get somebody to actually try to match this. But this has been in our downtown since 86, so it's not quite 40 years old. So I don't think we can complain that it hasn't held up. It's done quite well. Yes, around the corners, concrete always gets slightly beaten up when you have cars and trucks that give it, but how do we spec our concrete so we really do get this, and can we do a test now on concrete?
I don't know, because you get diversity of the concrete supply in terms of what goes into it. And we can specify what goes into it. Which I think we have the color with the 2 pounds of the glazers, and 1 pound for the walking surface.
You could not make the walking surface. The walking surfaces, they really could be 2 pounds for everything if we wanted to coordinate together. But like aggregate, I don't feel, there's got to be a way to.
Did you ask the edge with the Washington?
They do, this wasn't washed.
Right, I mean,
This is all the way through this time, so it's under the next.
We don't need to, specify what type of aggregate and what type of color goes into it. And how much concrete what do you 4,000 pound mix or 3,000, normally it's 3,000 for sidewalk and stuff like that. But it's 2 things, you get what comes from the concrete company, and then you got what the guy that's putting it in and finishing it. And that's the important finishing.
Well, it would come with the aggregate in,
Sure.
because.
And then how much of the cities that have moved the top.
Yeah, this is a very big job, so test panels, I'm sure, but we test paneled the sidewalk that went across the 7th Street Bridge. And we test paneled the sidewalk that went down on Argentine Street.
Do we have a spec for those? Are we happy with one of those?
I don't know that we have the one on the 7th Street Bridge comes closer to a little bit better. I mean, then I would say we probably want to, but I don't know that those bridge plans are all these years later, because that's.
It was just like 3 years ago.
You know, the better ones with the 2018 one, 2013 one that runs from 11th to 15th. That's the best spec out there as far as color and. But this isn't uncommon. I mean, this isn't uncommon at all. You go to some major buildings that are in and around Denver, and what you're walking in on is basically stuff that looks like this. It doesn't look like smooth concrete. So I would think that, I mean, I can look for, again, in our great planning system, because these are older projects, but I would think that.
That's what I think including a picture of this is what I'm trying to accomplish.
Where is that? Where did you take that picture?
Well, this picture
The one with the two curves? It's standing right at the thing. This picture is at the driveway, the drive panel, that's to the alley. Across from K and A, you know, there's a drive panel, and so I'm standing, so I get the, how it fit in with the, flagstone. And, you know, the fact, people looked at me and said, what driveways? I said, there were driveways, you are coming into the downtown improvement, and they said, no, you know, I mean, it's all sidewalk, and going, that's what I call sort of success. And you know, there are a couple of them. There's the one that's right next to us here. That, people use all the time. Anyway, I'd like to, if we can possibly try to be careful.
I think we should definitely come up with the best strategy we can come up with. And by showing them an example of what we might finish with. They may just need bigger areas.
Well, you see, Marvin's got a spec that's very close to this. Because he really worked on it for the concrete walkways, and it's just that he's really too tiny. It needs to be a little bit larger, not big stuff, but a little bit larger. But then he's got the greatest color in it too, and it came out really quite well. It doesn't look like that great number, but it's like the same, which is what you want. So anyway, I got those. The other thing that, I noticed that this spec said that we're gonna put asphalt, knowing the asphalt pavement in the parking lot.
Well, those are questions. What should we pay the parking?
Well, I think that's interesting. We turned down the Bradleys when they wanted to put asphalt in the back parking lot over there. We turned down asphalt. We don't allow asphalt driveways anywhere in this historic district. And to my way of thinking, I have a couple of thoughts on that, but we have a chance to really be illustrate what we could do with all of our parking lots right there.
I've got a suggestion. I did probably the same thing. I think it's look like gravel. I mean, I think that's what would work the best. And I just ran across something called.
You gravel paving.
Yes, gravel pay, a lot, copy. Unfortunately, there are a couple of pictures, but it's basically a plastic grid system. It goes down on a, you know, like a compacted road base, so that it drains through the pavement, and you fill the plastic grid system with gravel, you know, or stone, basically, so that it, you know, it does not deform, it does not collect water. It, you know, from what I've read, it looks like, and there's the thing in that thing, you can actually go and watch a video that tells you about it. Are you familiar with that at all, Brett? I'm familiar with it. I know that there's a place, you know, the people are right here in Denver. And it looks like it would be good, and I was concerned, but hoping only to kind of come to the meeting. Apparently it works well in cold climates where you get ice and snow and that kind of stuff, and it actually performs better than asphalt, performs better than, you know, pretty much anything else. And it would allow us to get, I mean, they had a couple of pictures. That's the thing with the gravel at the top, which, I mean, it looks like a dirt parking lot.
How tall is the plastic?
I don't know off the top of my head, not very.
Okay.
Probably a couple inches.
It's just, yeah, it's just enough after and back it down.
I had it up on this line.
Okay.
Duplex and they have a spike down, big spikes and stuff.
Yeah, you put a spike on every 6 of pocket, yeah, it's nailed to the ground.
Well, that's because the driveway is so steep.
Thank you.
It's no one involved.
They put it very long, and it really wasn't, it's about 2 years. And it went to it, it's just like,
Right. I think as long as we're, investigating and as long as we understand that we need to essentially, cut that parking lot down and put some road base under whatever we do.
If you do the best, you have to build it up, so that
You have to build it like you would, like you should build a road. And so that it is properly graded and that it is properly compatible with road base. And actually, the parking lots down at the old school are compacted road base. We got them because driveway usually road base for the amount that it takes.
we have enough leads, there's
So I think the other, we have allowed, a heavy aggregate concrete on driveways, right down here on South Street, Cooper's driveway is a tan concrete that has a heavy aggregate, and it looks like a gravel driveway. So I think that there are ways that we can do this and be successful, because as we walk around town, there are a lot of parking areas that you don't want to set anything where you don't want to see all of it.
So is the road base orderly enough?
No.
So you couldn't like. Now, I'm gonna put you down into the state.
We should basically.
Yeah, basically, once
Very fine.
Oh, okay.
put it down and water it and compact it with the fire, then.
Yeah.
But it rinse.
Yeah, and it's been very successful in the old school parking lots, but those parking lots do not get the same kind of traffic as this parking lot. So we want to make sure that we have something that is as durable as possible, that does the banks.
I didn't see this in how we can that more. That's pretty good idea.
I mean, it touts as being, probably in the order of cost price of asphalt. So, I mean, it's not.
And it saves in the long run on maintenance and.
Well, yeah, I mean, it says there's very little of the only maintenance you have, periodically going into. In places where the gravel is, pulled up or something, just gonna bring it out of the door.
But the aesthetics is what's key down.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think it would go a long way to helping. In Rick's paying attention. The water issues in that area,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
because you basically have a big. Area where any water
It's
coming in from down the hill is gonna come in and then it's gonna
Absorb.
in.
Right.
Rather than having any kind of a hard surface, and I mean, you can see it. Any place we put that road, the asphalt millings. 3 days later, the holes are back.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, to me, it's. That's not the solution.
and be careful with the noise, because they do have oil in them, and you get stuck in the shoes, and they're monstrous on your cars. Okay, be really careful.
So I mean, if that's something we think we wanna look at, I'd be happy to take a look at that and.
Yeah.
All of this.
The ones look nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it would look like, it would look like a gravel parking, which is really. Without holes in mud and the other thing there is, there's, the topsoil and stuff there, and once we get that down and get a decent base on there. That problem with holes and so forth should go down.
It would also be excellent example, the next time somebody comes in, wants to take a parking lot, you can say,
Yeah.
what you gonna do for this?
And the other thing is it's sustainable. It's one of the, it's lead and all this, it's all the right buzzwords.
Yeah.
So it's.
It has, we got concrete borders.
Yeah, you have a concrete, you
We
got
got
drainage,
it.
you got, yeah.
And if
There is
you-
nothing. It looks very much like.
Like the Dallas.
Yes, yes.
This, the other suggestion that was made was, do we want to consider paving the transition from the parking lot through the passageway down to the park instead of using flagstone there, because it's going to be on a bit of a slope? Do we want to go ahead and do the concrete? Same treatment as we do the sidewalk. It goes back there from a handicap standpoint.
I think it might be good.
I think it would
It's a
be,
little bit slow.
It's not, it's concrete, it's not.
well, it's, I mean, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, all of
When
the,
you say paint.
all of the, yeah, all of that, so I would go with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great show.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so here is, so you're coming down Grove Street. And you're down. Yeah. Okay, so, and there's a big plant,
Yeah, we have room for big one.
and do we have anybody who's gonna plant that?
You,
Yeah, that's yours.
well, there was some thought, we haven't even got to the planting, that's next one.
That's
We could put some trees in.
pretty confusing, when we're down the road and looking into the. Doors here. And it's on. There. That's gonna be. So do we put another.
That's spatial. I'm thinking, there's no reason why we can't put some low shrubs and then a few trees. Like apple trees. Because then that would eventually screen that pretty well.
Yeah.
Because somebody.
What did you know?
Beauty of the heart. Well, I think we're pretty much there. I'm going to go ahead and Steve Calvin, he works for Galagos, and he suggested they might be a good candidate for flagstone and stonework, like what they do. So, get us in this. So my next step is to put the details for all this and then go out and get the pricing for everything we can get pricing for.
And on the pricing issue, we were able to, the town was able to get a revitalized Main Street grant, for the restrooms. And we got another one for the furniture, and that program seems to have perpetual money. It's on a very short time things, and so yes, exactly. Well, I proposed to the Parks Committee that we look into this, that was their instantly raised their hands, they moved so much back. And said that we would be interested in pursuit that, when I met with the revitalized Main Street folks, because we have some of their money in Argentine North. I wasn't sure we could get overlapping things, but they said that's a large project, this is a small one. Yes, we can apply, and that's going to take the lead and drawing up an application, and I think that's fabulous. And so it's up to 250,000, and we're guessing, if we were guessing at this, that we're in the range of 4.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the DHM estimate, it's 5.5, 5.5, 550,000. And
We've taken a lot out.
well, we've taken some out. The paving, the flagstone is, we've added some flagstone in there. We changed it to, I guess they had a gas fire, they only had 3 lights. We have more of that.
They moved all that snow.
400,000 is probably going to be tight. But we could do some things like. Do all the concrete work for the parking lot and. Just throw road base down there now. And come back and do the final paving next year.
Yeah.
That could be $100,000 easy. So I mean, we have a few things we can do. I think we've already done a lot in terms of reducing the cost without sacrificing too much. But I mean, the flagstone is the big ticket item. If you look at what they had in there, it was like almost 400,000 by itself.
Wow.
So where are you getting? Well, we're gonna ask you.
The big stuff.
It's on land someplace. Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, I looked online in a couple of places. I haven't talked to anybody yet, but what I noted is that, you know, it's not installed, not installed, not installed. I'm really ready to, you know, get it was getting it.
So I guess Tracy.
Good. I'll definitely. give you a call.
And the town has 155,000 in the budget this year for this program. So they're gonna add close to 250. We are at the full. I mean, that's gonna be so at least it's enough to do. And I'll tell you what's going on. It's pretty nice.
We have a lot of flagstones kind of up there. It's a mix of some good, some not so good, and some really bad. But it might be worthwhile to go through and see if we could, you know, pick it. We want not only 2-inch thick or better, in fairly good sized pieces. So we could possibly go through and pull whatever is up there.
Where's this at?
South by Centennial.
Up by Centennial Mill, where we got
Okay.
spare wood and
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean. those are the
And we could move all that stuff on March Farm where all our other spare materials.
Although you install might go up with the has to get more.
Huge carry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I talked with Craig and he suggested for the runoff from the gutters, putting in some dry wells. And I'm gonna put this similar to what we saw when we done the drainage plan for the house across the street in Washington Road, the big concrete. So I got a price for that. It's a 4-foot diameter, roughly 4 foot high, and then, you know, very deep, hole, 7 to 8 feet deep. So they're about 2.5 tons for those. So I'm thinking we'll have at least one, obviously, maybe two, probably two. That'll go in. And they're about normally 2,000 piece. Concrete,
And out the bottom or just,
well, through the sides.
oh,
Bottoms of the saw, but basically it's a big concrete. Yeah, underground. And once it's in, it's not going in. And he said, hey, great work doing that up in South County, a couple of places where, you know, as long as you can keep some kind of a water stream coming into it, we plan on putting heat tape in the gutters and then down the downspout, we run it down that pipe that goes into the dry well as well. It'll be a 4-inch pipe going into the dry well, probably good. So that will help with that.
Did you have other opportunities to cut stuff if you need to get the cost down?
I can't think of anything else.
nice, thank you.
I think it's. I mean, we could look at going with, post on the concrete basing stone rather than real stone. It's not a huge. We allow that.
We can just, stain the concrete.
For longevity and actually. Millstone doesn't allow itself, you don't like millstone. It's not a lot of.
We want to,
We want to be.
we want to hear our labor.
Okay, thank you.
You actually do a motion or anything.
And we approve this on the DHL sign, these are all changes to the DHL. Do we need to do a motion to?
COA for your approval, technically, so we're working on those plans. As long as we know what's going on.
Do like that, we could do like a motion to approve the changes to the DHL.
I would like to make that motion, and I'd like it to show up if we get our see that, we do. So I would move that we, put the changes that shown on the plan stated, for whatever today is, 12, 13.
13.
I'll second that motion.
Susan's going to do the notes and nothing. She didn't see that.
Yeah.
She doesn't have-
Tell me that I'll send it to
Okay.
her. It snows tomorrow.
Oh, so you're, the neighbor? Right, against. Okay, you said.
Oh, how about the Excel proposal? We do that, never know what's going on. There's a way we said about that last time. Yeah, you went on maybe it says.
Yeah, I've got something. And I'm just presenting information to you and that's it. I'm not trying to give you a recommendation, okay? But Kent Sterrett has called and asked to be included on that MOU because he is a property owner that's right there, and he felt that he wanted to make sure that he is in line with whatever the town decides, but wanted to be included.
We're not the people to ask.
I'm just passing the
No,
information.
but seriously,
Yeah.
if he needs the information back, the people that we were invited by Excel, and FERC to be consulting parties if we wish to. So he would need to essentially, get a hold of either FERC.
He has,
Or the state.
Yeah.
Or the proposed office, because that's not up to us.
Okay.
We don't get to invite other people.
I just said that I would
Party no.
pass the information on.
Party plans.
Okay, we have a review process chart. Just for us to go over and just get
Just in there, everybody else. Find this extremely hard to follow.
It's extremely hard to follow, and it's extremely interesting that the DRC did not get to even review, certificate of appropriateness minor projects.
I didn't look at that part of the.
Well, it confuses me, but it also doesn't tell you where the decisions were made. I mean, one says review, the next says hearing. Who gets to decide on this issue?
Mike Davenport and Barbara Cole. Jerry and by the way, Jerry and I have also found some discrepancies on this, and Jerry's kind of working with Mike to make some changes. But we wanted to give you a chance to look at it, give comments, so that we can give those comments back to him as well. And then our thought is that we would then see what the changes are that he makes based on your comments. Jerry and I would review again. PC has not seen this yet. It's on their agenda just to be seen. But yeah, it's completely, I was really hoping that it would be, this is where you need to go. This decision has to be, and it's like, it doesn't say that. So I agree. And I made that comment to Jerry already.
What's the intent? Let's say that we love this, it's up to yours. What's its purpose? Is it intended for public use?
Yes.
It's impossible.
Yes, but I think it's the wrong thing. It needs to be a poll truck. Yeah, it needs to be a poll truck.
I'm not gonna worry about it till we get it so we can see.
Because I spent maybe a half an hour looking at it and said, I don't.
I think there has are, but it says, the other thing is when we're looking at that we're reviewing, this commission has been asked to review things that have been into the planning commission. And there's no indication of how the commissions interact. I mean, this
Actually, this is kind of a final result without still knowing the process of how you got there thing. But yeah, and Cindy, you're saying under certificate of appropriateness for major projects, I see we had a hearing, but for minor projects, exceptions and amendments, that all just looks like it's a staff review.
and that PRC has no role, and is the hearing, does that mean you are the decision making body, or does it mean
At least something else, because sometimes they have meeting, which it, like the plan unit development here says meeting for DRC, but yet we have to have a hearing too, right? When we do those. It's just.
no, I can't. We sort of can't make history skills.
There needs to be definition.
Yeah, on the very back, it's got.
Conceptual. Yeah, it's just obvious. If I was the public, that would tell me nothing.
Or I'd be even more confusing than I want.
So it says the difference between a hearing and a meeting.
Down on the backside, there's got just, it doesn't say the difference, it just.
All right, so, yeah, that's what it is. I mean, what's the hearing? What's the meeting?
Hearing regarding annexation.
Community Matters Institute, that's the contracted planner that the town's using.
What's under the definition? What is it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of got.
And it doesn't, you know, under the preliminary, we do preliminary stuff for the major projects, minor projects, anybody who wants to show up. We do at least, you know, and so the
Conceptual, yeah.
and actually on the big planning development,
We pay somebody to do this.
Unfortunately,
Wow. Maybe-
they spent a lot of time doing a lot of stuff here.
We take notice out of this, I think.
and I understand it relates to those code sections, but they know how something works.
And what's 16 food cart?
I saw that too. But you see, the third part, the appeal of the decision is to the business development commission.
Yeah,
See also,
but you guys have a food cart.
yeah,
Food cart,
yeah,
where is that?
Where is the food cart?
16.
I got a food cart.
Okay.
I have a food cart downstairs.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Oh, I see it now. No,
Yeah.
okay. I'll go back and say, try again.
We all said.
They don't like it. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the key is if you give this to the public, it's going to create problems.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my plan was if they didn't understand it, just to call Bob.
Sounds good.
Okay, can you just approval of our minutes, please?
Diane, did you have anything you wanted to add or ask?
Yeah, waiting to last, because that's what I heard. When you want this.
She wants to do a,
Review. But it's here all finished. Thank you. No, just, I was waiting, I was like, what? Jen said, we're gonna talk with her. Oh, what was it there? Yeah.
that's the hot seat.
It was, but it's like.
That's your opinion.
We need to get our big hot lamp now.
See a sixth grade, and I'm like, oh. And, I own a house at 401 4th Street, which is like right over there. And the house I bought 3 years ago was built in 1876, and the offices for the Clear Creek, was called Clear Creek offices. Then, okay, so that's the story. And it was also an assay office. So then, years later, the first owner, a homeowner bought it, for like 35, back taxes, $60, $35, he bought that property. And he worked a lot, his name was Mr. Green, and he worked on that property a lot, and he lived there for a really long time in his life, but they're gone. Then the property was sold 26 years ago to Christy and Richard Reed. And they lived there for 20 years, and they did a lot of work for that property. Then it was sold to Katie Scully, but she only lived there for 3 years, and then she moved. And then I went, and so now there's been a lot of work done, but my point is, I can talk forever, please tell me. Just a short one. What I have in the backyard, okay, my property is surrounded by 3 sides of unbuildable. It's the 4th Street, at the top of 4th Street is this 330 White House. That's my house. So the front part of my house, you can't build on this street. On the north side of my house, you can't build there because it's owned by public service. And on the east side of my house, the whole east side is owned by public service. And then on the south side, and there are no homes here. There's just me and then the street. So then on the south side, it's owned by the town of Georgetown. Okay, so it's kind of like, you all remember where the Penn Stop was built. A Penn Stop is a water trough made out of huge, what are they? They're lead, they're cast, they're lead. They weigh about 1,000 pounds, and they carry the water from down in town. Well, I'm not going on the details, but so in my backyard, I have tons of Penn Stop and all kinds of things where people are just debris. It's just leftover stuff that nobody knows what to do with it. It's right off of my house. Which is fine. It's kind of difficult to have a sense of it. So I have not smart property, and I have, I brought this, but it's not interesting at the time. This is my plot, my improvement locations, which is, so what's, it's on the property is an existing potting shed. There's an existing potting shed that was built by probably Mr. Green. There's not a record of it. I doubt if the offices, the Clear Creek offices built a potting shed. Then he bought it, and he did quite a bit of things, and it's in the town records about the improvements on that piece of property. So it's really old, but it's not bad, it's not historical, but it's let's say it's 12 feet by 20 feet. Okay, and it's built right 1 foot from my lot line, but it's already there. So I can't ask you if it's historical or not, but I don't know how
Christine.
Do you know, have you seen it?
Christine Bradley.
Oh, Christine Bradley. Okay, you, she said, Christine, I'm looking at you, I don't know, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Christine Bradley at the
Yeah, I know.
this county, yeah, she was not a best person as yet.
Okay, so I want to either change the potting shed. I want to do it so the way I can keep it where it is. When you have a green, I want a greenhouse. I want a greenhouse, and I saw Carolyn Casel's greenhouse. And you guys all approved it for a certificate of appropriateness. And it was 12 by 8. Hers is 12 by 8. And so now I want Carol Casel's greenhouse because I bought. But I don't know the rules about where I can have it. Is a greenhouse something that has to have a 15-foot easement from the property line?
Well, if you have a building there already, you got a building, right? Yeah, you want to shed in the greenhouse?
I want to do what you approve. And what I really want to do is take down part of the potting shed. Because it's 20 feet long, and I only want it 12 foot long, so I would leave 8 feet of the potting shed and the next. Well,
The
rest of it, I would turn into a greenhouse, and it would kind
On
of
the
be
same foundation,
on the same foundation.
with basically some of the walls. Is there like a back wall that goes along the property line? You leave?
There is, okay, it's a structure, and I have a picture, but you don't want to see pictures.
Okay, well,
It's like this, here's the roof, and
okay, we don't agree.
here's the roof, and there's like 12 feet here, and there's 12 feet here, and this is like 20 feet. And it's on these stilty things. Okay,
Yeah,
and it's falling down, so I have to do something, or it's gonna cave in, because some of those. What do you call those, Mark?
Posts?
Posts, yeah. They're kind of going like this. So I've got to do something, and I would like to do something like put a greenhouse on, to replace part of that structure. That's what I'd like to do, and I'm here for,
So not too grid.
Mhm.
Because what Diane has described is that structure sits in her setback through no fault of her own.
Right.
That is where it has sat for however long it has sat in there. And so it would be, yeah, it would be changing a part of that structure is what she would be doing.
Mhm.
Does that constitute? How does that relate? I mean, we're not charged with setback.
Correct.
Yes.
I think what's gonna happen, because I, that's what I was thinking, so you went down the same road that I was thinking. I think you'd have to apply for a variance, because you're outside of your setback allowance according
which
to
is
code,
15 feet.
right?
But my question is.
5 feet, yeah,
Oh, it's 5 feet?
yeah, sides, yeah. So we'd have to see what it is, but most likely you'd have to apply for a variance to put it in that same area. And in the same footprint, correct. And then once you get approval, then you would come back here with ever design kind of stuff. And then they can dictate what they would, recommend to you. So that's the first thing I was thinking of.
well,
Is it,
it's about
is
a
it,
buildable way.
And it sounds kind of like, it's nothing that she's caused, it's already there. And so this would actually be a benefit because you would be fixing a dilapidated structure at the same time. So,
if it's less than 120 square feet?
Yes.
Well, does she need a building permit?
no,
No.
Anywhere from that?
Right here, it's like over 120 square feet, need a building permit, out over here. It would not be 121 square feet.
that's good.
119 and a half, just to say.
Basically, you just got to come back, once you do variance, come back, it's outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because. The one wall in the greenhouse is the fence one, That's the wall, I mean, a pine shed, that's a wall. But it's in the perfect place because it's not, you saw my neighborhood, but where else did you put it? Which is probably why they put the pine shed there in the first place. So I can use part of the pine shed with the variance. And then add the greenhouse on the end, just bring us what the greenhouse is gonna look like.
Yeah.
And you're kind of replacing part of the partnership with green.
Yeah.
You know, you're adding you this renovating.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need a central. Okay, I can make a picture. Yeah. A large, a lot, like this.
One of the things that we've done, this airline is orienting ourselves to their needs.
Well, okay, one more thing is. You see, nobody is, okay, the parking lot for the Rutherford Trail. Is at the back of my house. The only people that ever see the back of my house are people that park their car to go up the Rutherford.
Mhm.
It's not even, nobody ever goes there, nobody even drives up my street, it's nobody. Nobody does. Oh, yeah, behind my house.
So
That's part, yes, well, no, actually, the Rutherford Trail got right through my yard and went to Third, Fourth Street. Yeah,
So, what you'll need to do is talk to Jen Yopsky, the clerk,
yeah,
and tell her that you want an application to do a variance. And make sure that she explains to you what drawings and details you're gonna need to turn in. And you're gonna also need to, make sure you look at the code for variance for the, what is required. Because there'll be like 9 questions you're gonna have to answer to kind of prove, because you have to answer them to show that this is not, you didn't cause this,
oh, okay.
and, so make sure you ask her, what are the documents that you need, and she'll make sure she gives those to
You
you.
can really help.
She is.
Part. She told me about this, that I could come here. Yeah.
Yep.
Can I just want to say thank you all for listening to me and having me. Thank you, goodbye. Thanks, Mark.
Very good to see you.
Thank you.
Could you spend just a minute to report on, the events of Tuesday night? Because I think as all of you know, ordinance, did not pass. It was, rejected 42. I think the unfortunate part of it is that the baby sort of went out with the bathwater. I think the difficulty was the FAR, and there are other aspects of that ordinance that I hope Rick will manage to bring back in a simpler ordinance so that we get the process stuff done and the maximum lot size done and all of that. And after, I was not present. I think we ought to thank Bob Hamilton a great deal, and Sean was there. Yes, and Kathy was there, and Wayne was there and voted against it. And it was not, that's my understanding, it was not a terribly pleasant evening, for basically, for everybody. And after losing a fair amount of sleep, I thought to myself, and this is gonna sound funny, but they actually did us a huge favor. I don't know. No, but they did do us a huge favor, because as I started to think through process and procedures, and you all have now in front of you a new one of these, and there's a reason for having a new one of these. We have known through all of this that the FARs are not a stable figure, because so much of our lots, so many of our lots are parts of other lots, and so many people could end up with smaller lots than we base the FAR on. And and people who. So what we're after in this is actually not the FAR, we're after bulk, we're after mass and bulk. And that column is really the square foot column. It's not the FAR column. You know, if I own a larger lot, if I sell off that piece of lot, my FAR just changed entirely. So the FARs aren't very stable. But the amount of square footage of your house is a pretty stable thing. And it gives you the basic bulk of a place. Now, our guidelines give us a few directions about what we should be doing for this. And when we did turn down a house, they happened to have been Marvin's. And what we did at that time, it's a long time ago, but we did exactly what we should probably do for new houses. We said, okay, he wants to build here. What historic houses are in the neighborhood? Actually, we did the historic ones in that neighborhood over in the dark boxes and we put other boxes. We did a little analysis of what all that square footage was of the usable living space for those houses, and then we put in the proposed house, and all of these come out to 1,300, 1,500, 1,300, up to, you know, you've got to a house that was 36 in there, but 14, and then a modern house up on the hill, and the house being proposed was 5,200. It was an obvious difference, and it was significant. So my suggestion is that we all put this in, that I punch holes in, so that we put them in the book, and we seriously, when somebody comes in for a new house, we stick a pin in the map. We're supposed to do it for height. Our book even tells us, look in a 300-foot radius. A 300-foot radius is simple to achieve these days. Jen showed me how. You know, you don't want to play that, put in your point, tell it you want the addresses in 300, it draws you a lovely little circle on the map. We have the information. We have all the homework that got done is extremely useful homework. It's also, so it would allow us to, first of all, we can judge the heights by knowing where the historic houses are. And our guidelines say what we're supposed to do is compare it to the historic buildings in the area. It doesn't say you're supposed to compare it to all the new buildings in the area. It says you're supposed to compare it to the historic buildings in the area. And the first time we do that, I mean, this is my first little 300-foot radius, but I could have pulled it in, but you know, it's not hard to come up with this information. And I really believe that it actually is a more fair and a more flexible kind of way to go about it than an absolute FAR would have been. Because you know, you're looking at what a given neighborhood is, and you are looking at the bulk that exists in your historic homes there, and you're looking at the height of those homes. And I would say height we were going to measure height from the ground. I know that the height regulation allows you to measure from the top of the foundation, but historic houses sit on the ground. They don't sit on 3 feet of foundation.
So it's clear about
Yes, yeah, and so we're going to measure from there, and here are some sort of standard, you know, the floor is 10 feet approximately, and so your story, and you know, your 1-story house with a nice peak roof is you know, we can about figure what those are, and we really should put out the message that that's what we're going to do. Because what we have done in the past is we have deferred to our area and bulk regulations. And we have deferred to them. And what they're clearly saying, and what people even apparently stood up and said was, you know, the DRC guidelines can take care of this problem. Well, actually, the DRC guidelines can.
So could this also apply then for additions?
Yes, but
Okay.
at that point, you would look at what the bulk is around them. And we've done pretty well on conditions in the last 10 years. Over my tenure in the town, about 50 years worth, we've lost 4 historic structures. One of them was demolition by neglect, was Hosky. The was Cadano, Snickren, and Passes. And those we lost to inappropriate, blow up the whole roof. And create 2-story houses where they were 1-story houses. And I think we learned from that. In our most recent, we've done some really good additions. Kinsey and Darren's down there, and the houses on Main Street. The additions have been in back. Our guidelines for additions are pretty good, and they have been pretty well followed over the last several years. But yes, when you want to get an application for an addition, you would look around at the other historic houses, so you're not building something that is out of mass with them.
Right.
And there's a lot of ways that mass could be him. I mean, the additions can go towards the back and stuff. And I also started thinking about houses in other parts of the country that have very strong. I own another home, and it's in the Kings Highway Historic District in Massachusetts, and you can't even pinch if you were color of the chimney told you whether you were for the British or whether you were for the yeah, no, it's serious business, but if you buy a house that was one of those back in the 1700s, you cannot change the paint of your chimney.
Do you have a sense on the Washington Mill stuff that's just been built? If they would have been under, if we had followed the guidelines in more strict accordance.
Like if the 10,000 or 10.1021, where would that fall? The one that we just talked
10
about.
and 2.
Oh, where would that fall? That would be far too much.
That's not enough.
And the front 3 houses would have been pretty good. I mean, they would have fallen right in the range. The back 3 houses are where it got just blown up large. And then the 2 side houses. However, I would say on the first side, the one we looked at today is bigger than the one across the street. The one across the street with the additional unit on back of it, his face to the street. That's what I'm saying. There's lots of ways you can handle the bulk. His face to the street fits in the height space. So, could you massage the bulk going back, given you have 2 lots? Yeah, you probably could in a very passable fashion. I think that I also put, and this is not 100% accurate, and so I'm going to go back and really work through it. The C's and the NC's are contributing and not contributing, so we know instantly, just look at the chart, we know the relative sizes. And I thought, this is a fantastic piece of work, guys. It's just that I think the column that matters is this column. Yeah, I think this column doesn't matter. And in a sense, they did us a favor, because it would have been hard to operate the farm. It would have been very difficult to make it operate. And this way, you say, okay,
Pretty good, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and if they do something like that, it becomes a visual before.
This is the basis of this discussion, and then it becomes a discussion with the person. How do you make this? How do you make the thing you want fit into what it needs? And so I really, I didn't think it was 1 o'clock, but it was okay.
This would be good for Rick's new assistant.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think it's great. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and it tells, there are lots of things, they're only put an addition on the house because I have 3.5 or, 0.35 and six. No, how much your addition, let's look at your neighborhood, let's try to make you think it's flexible, but it's actually.
Cindy, can you also do me a favor? What is the breaking point for a contributing structure to lose its contributing structure?
That's that in one sense, we don't evaluate them ourselves because that could become, somebody could charge you with personal whatever. So, yeah, so you hire somebody, and the last one was Carl McWilliams, Barbara Norman's one, and other people have done it. They have points to look at as far as roof shape, size, roof shape, window placements, and what they find for what the original structure, they go back to historic pictures, what the original structure looked like. And if you lose the sense, there's also, if you cannot see the old house when you stand in front of it, then you've lost it. But that means that you can do a lot of additions to that.
Yeah.
And there's been some truly good.
So, but a porch though, if someone never had a porch, like for example, Craig Abrahamson, like his front is plain. What if somebody bought that and put a porch on it? Would that
I
be?
think that we might go with the porch because they're not atypical of the period and it does not take away. But the houses we've lost, they took small one-story houses.
And completely
created
changed them.
large two-story
I
houses.
see. Okay. So there's still a lot of flexibility there.
There's still a bunch of
Okay.
ones.
Because I think that's the thing that I keep hearing, oh, we're gonna lose, and I'm like, no, we don't want to lose any of our contributing structures. We can fight, but this is gonna help us make sure that we won't lose contributing structures. Yeah.
You base the decisions on the contributing structures that are in a neighborhood.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I found this thing reading through the files and I thought, well, it's
Stand out.
Stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's wanting to build a house, all we gotta do is go on to the next.
But we probably announced that we're gonna do this because otherwise somebody's gonna go to their area vaults and they're gonna say, I have 25 feet on my foundation. And, I can build whatever size I can fit on 40% of the lot.
So like that big box we went through. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big box.
yeah, we're doing that again today. I think we would not have approved it.
Well.
Well, the checker,
That's a big box.
Gonna be a huge.
and while we didn't, we recommended not allow them to subdivide the lots.
Yeah, and that created just tiny lots. The other thing, but I really did start thinking about how would you operate the farm? I mean, how would you really operate? And it would be very tough. That's the place I sort of thought, okay, how do you do it? And then I thought, you didn't. What do you mean, how do you do it?
Is the appeal, the DRC will make a ruling on something, so either get a COA or they don't. Where does the appeal go?
Board of Selectmen.
Good.
The first appeal goes to the Board of Selectmen. And if the Board of Selectmen, I know this because I remember buying them out. If the Board of Selectmen, upholds the design review commission, the only action left is legal action. I mean, the night they upheld turning down a huge developer. Was an interesting moment.
Mhm.
They knew they lost. But by and large, you see, I would like the Board of Selectmen to understand what we're then doing. Because essentially they are the Board of Appeal and but there's a couple of the selectmen that oppose the FAR we're saying, you know, you can handle it through your guidelines. You have guidelines.
Right.
So when we say that the historic house is like count the historical plus the addition, or is that just count the historic part of the house?
It's whatever the house is at the moment, is.
Okay, so if it has a big addition on it, then that's going to count.
Yes, it's not.
Do we have an obligation to periodically reassess those things with the contributing structures?
That's what we did in 2014. That's what-
10 years or something?
Yeah, and we, you know, we did it in 95. We did it again in 2014. That's sort of the common, you know.
Sometime in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, sometime before you get to 2030. Somebody ought to take it, and then they review, it's an arduous process, because they take all the forms you had. But this time, at least we gathered all the forms in one place. They take all the forms you had, and then they not only review them, review goes to the State Historical Preservation Office. And then the review goes to the National Park Service. And so when we come back and say we have contributing structure, it's not because we don't, right? I mean, yeah, all the way through the Park Service, they have agreed, and the last guy who did, we had a couple of disputed items, but he said, one, he said yes, and Christine would not mean saying, huh? And, we would say no, and one that he's bought a couple of them in Silverthorne, he said, no, we disputed, I had told our dispute to the state and to the feds. And let them make the decision of whether it could be, because they're recorded as elements of a landmark district.
So our job really is to manage, the day-to-day management of the national historic district.
We are certified local government, that is our job. And when the town decided to become a certified local government, it's essentially said, we want to manage this district ourselves.
That's why I pay big bucks.
Yeah. So that's why everybody has those, and they got holes and punched in them, so you can stick them somewhere in the long way. And at some point, you'll get a map. The guy's great map. And all the circled items will be contributing structures, so that'd be very simple to say, oh, it's there, so I can even guess what structure.
You know what, we can just make it appropriate, this has to clear this.
And sit it on this thing.
Use that same map all the way up. Did anybody get that market? We just accepted the minutes. All in favor? All right, guys, then what's your mind, we'll say that same stuff.
So I got a question for you. I've had several calls about the house that's to the right of Lynette's.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, do I need to start the process with code enforcement, issuing a citation and things like that?
If you have a demolition by neglect ordinance,
Mhm.
and that will tell you how to start the process of demolition by neglect. And yes, I think, but that we should put that in the minutes at some point, that's Cuskey's house, and yes, we should cite that. But we also should cite the one that's next door here. That building.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, that does look bad too.
I know, you know, it's hanging on the other section of the building. I wish that we could do sort of stuff like that. It's gonna be fine.
So the other thing too was at the corner, if you keep going right, keep going down, is Lynette's house to the right, you keep going to the end of the block.
Yeah.
Behind that house, there's a yellow shed that's slanted big time.
The reason it's not slide is because they're supposed to repair the underside of the box up in here.
Oh, okay, so there's purpose behind that. Okay, well, I didn't notice it. I've had people call me and saying, you need to have cited, this is bad, and so I was like, well, let me bring up DRC, and I'm sure there's history.
In the next month, we'll probably be back up.
Okay,
That would be nice.
and
Wall, shouldn't the ball, that's the color issue.
So when you cite Kosky on the house,
Maybe the walls.
cite the wall along with it. The granite wall, and it's cut granite.
what's the guy's name again?
Kosky.
KOSK1. You know, there's the wall.
So cite the house and the wall.
And he's
Yes.
got it, but we don't want you to say, okay, I'll just take the wall down.
No.
It's the silver stone granite, cut granite, incredibly.
He's already repaired first.
Yeah, so we don't.
Now it's the other.
Okay,
Not remove it.
all right, I will start working on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's not like I have nothing else to do. Thank you.
And it is Rick, first anniversary.
I want to thank Cindy, because Cindy's my hero. She has helped me tremendously, and I can't thank you enough, Cindy.
She just trying to keep it.
Hey, for those who don't know, hey, but seriously, for those who don't know this, my first week when I was here, she came into my office and she's like, I'm going to take you on a trip. So she took me on a tour everywhere, and then we landed up on Guanella Pass, and she's like, I need you. So we get out, we're overlooking Guanella Pass. I mean, like overlooking the town. And she looks at me, she goes, I need you to look me in my face. So I look at her, and she said, I need you to own this now. This is your town. And so she's like, I'm not kidding. So I love her. She's been incredible.
She showed up the other.
Can I end this right here?
So what's the difference?